Today we're doing a 7-round NFL mock draft, and I'm controlling the NFC West in the mock draft simulator. I did tweak some settings. I took the randomness and I took it off completely. I took team need and I bumped it up a shade. So maybe we get some of these picks to make it a little bit more sense. Before we dig in though, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're covering the NFL draft every day. I'm going to have responses on most of these picks during the draft, posting videos up left and right. Keep you in tune for your teams. Click that button. Stop missing out. We got to start mocking. 7 rounds is a lot. It takes some time. Again, covering 4 teams, NFC West, so we can see how the draft evolves, how PFF has changed their simulator since the last time we've done this, which was Sunday. We'll have our Sunday mock out too, but it's time to ramp it up a bit. We're going to start it right now. I expect Cam Ward to be the first quarterback selected. Here we go. Starting the draft. My first pick's with the Niners. Cam Ward off the board. Locked in. Travis Hunter to the Browns. 100%, almost 99% sure he's going to be a Brown. Shedeur Sanders to the Giants. Abdul Carter to the Patriots. Mason Graham to the Jaguars. Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders. Jets go Campbell. Solid tackle. Solid. Jahdae Barron to the Panthers. That's where things could get interesting. Saints get the tackle. Armand. Big time talent. Tyler Warren going to the Bears. Upgrading the tight end spot, which I could definitely see happening there, especially with Ashton Jeanty off the board. So you may not agree with it, but Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders have been talked about a lot. They're built on the offensive line. Mason Graham to the Jaguars has been written in stone in so many mock drafts. Abdul Carter, it's hard to pass on him. You need him or not. I don't even care what team's there. It's so hard to pass on him. You just got to make the selection. Shedeur Sanders has a chance to go here to the Giants. They got 2 quarterbacks. They could pivot here. It could be a bluff, but he's got a chance to go here to the Giants. For him, you got Malik Neighbors. You're sitting behind 2 veteran quarterbacks here. Jameis Winston is a good influence. Travis Hunter to the Browns. He fits that depth chart so well. They need another wide receiver. He can play both ways. I don't look at him as a corner. I look at him as just a different athlete that can play both ways. Coming down to my pick, I got the Niners. Offensive tackle is huge for me right now. Interior offensive line, I got to wait a little bit for the value. Josh Simmons is there. Kelvin Banks. Now looking at the other positions that are available that I could go after here. I like Malachi Starks. He falls. I like Campbell here at linebacker. Defensive line. Zapped up a little bit where I got to trade back. And with offensive tackle going the way it went, it kind of zapped up a little bit on me. Who I like, if it wasn't for like value, I like Josh Simmons. I like Kelvin Banks. I like that. Offensive tackle is going to leave. It's going to decrease in value is what I'm saying. Looking at cornerback, Will Johnson is there. I got him as a top 10 talent. I think I pull the trigger here. I got some edge rushers I can look at. Mike Green's huge at this spot. I think Will Johnson, ADP 14.8 here on the board. I think he's more talented than that. I think he's going to go to the Niners here. That's what I'm doing. I'm not mocking to guess it right. I'm mocking when I'm on the clock. I'm going with how I feel. T-Mac to the Cowboys. Campbell to the Dolphins. Big time linebacker prospect. Matthew Golden. I really don't think the Colts would do that when you got so many talented wide receivers there. I really don't feel like that might be our first random pick. I took randomness off. Like it's off. And I bumped up team need a shade, like to the next level. But again, Gianni Campbell going to the Dolphins, that's just a talent that's following you. T-Mac's getting mocked to the Cowboys a lot. He would be a huge help to this team. He is the top wide receiver for me in this class. Nasty downfield, would be a good fit for CeeDee Lamb. Shamar Stewart, edge, going to the Falcons. Edge is going to be very plentiful in this part of the draft. Cardinals are up. Guard, defensive line, cornerback. You're looking at cornerback, it's decreased. I mean, you can reach a little bit, get these guys, Amos, Morrison, Hairston. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it or be surprised. Walter Nolan's there. They got him ranked 8th, but ADP of 20. They've got him up there. He's been high for me a lot. I've been high on him. I've been looking at offensive line like Josh Simmons would be a good spot here. Top 10 tackle. If it weren't for the knee, he'd be a top 10 guy. Grant, I would like him a little bit later. And Mike Green's here at a hell of a value. You got some values here. I think Mike Green's too good to pass up on. Too good. You also got Luther Bird in there if you want to add another wide receiver. Maybe that's why Matthew Golden came off the board. That being said, if I'm here and I'm picking and I'm taking best player available, position-wise, also think about need and everything else, and not even the need. I'm not even thinking need. It's hard to let Mike Green slip any further. Like, there's edge rushers in the second round, but it drops off drastically once we get past Mike Green, Donnie E. I can plug up interior a little bit in the second round, third round. I know this from doing the mocks a lot. I think Mike Green's it. Mike Green's it. Surprise pick. I had the surprise pick. That was hard. Jalen Walker coming off the board. Now I'm up with Seattle. A lot of things I can do here. Interior offensive line, I can think about it right now. Because I'm in the back end of the teens here of the draft. My guy Booker is there. That's who I would be looking at. You're also thinking about edge. Edge is plentiful. Edge is plentiful right now. We got Donnie E. And my boy James Pierce. James Pierce should not be ranked this low. His ADP shouldn't be this low. I draft him in every mock. I want to see how far he falls. He shouldn't fall that much farther. He shouldn't, but he usually goes in the deep 20s. Donnie E's been a riser. You got Scorton there. Honestly, once they get past those two guys, though, it dips. It dips. And then also, interior offensive line. As we know, it gets better in the second and third rounds. I either swing for the fences, go for Booker here, or I just take talent. Like Josh Simmons right here. Coming back from a knee, I roll with that. Just thinking it through. I also got Walter Nolan just sitting there. I like him a lot. I'm going Donnie E. That's a solid pick. That's a solid player. Michael Williams coming off the board. Kenneth Grant. I like Williams as well off the edge. Josh Simmons going to the Steelers. Not going quarterback. Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver, going to the Chargers. Quentin Johnston's done. Calvin Banks, tackle, going to the Packers. Malachi Starks to the Vikings. And there's Tyler Booker right there, my dude. I was looking at him. I was thinking about him hard. Now I'm up with the Rams. Tight end, tackle. Looking at offensive tackle right now. You can get Zabel right now, and who will be a solid asset for your offensive line. Plays a lot of interior, forecasted for that, but you can also put him at tackle. You also got Josh Connerly, which I have more of like an early second round grade on. So honestly, I don't want to reach for that. You got Colston Loveland here, which if you like Tyler Warren, he's not far off. If not, some people got him better than him when it comes to receiving skill set. Linebacker, you're going to have to wait a bit to get value on that. Cornerback, there's going to be a run later. I think Colston Loveland's the pick for me for the Rams. I think that's my pick. Walter Nolan slips to the Ravens. That's a huge value for them. James Pierce for the Detroit Lions. There's going to be some money placed here. O'Marion Hampton to the Commanders. That's a huge possibility of them going running back to really add pieces for Jaden Daniels. Even though they got two good running backs, just get that third one in. You know you got contracts coming up soon, and you want to get that dog. You want Luther Burden going to the Eagles. Something's going to fall to the Eagles that's just going to blow your mind from this year's draft. That's the thing. Luther Burden's going to go up higher than that too. Josh Connerly falling to the Patriots. That's a money spot. That's a good spot for the tackle there. I have him graded as a second round guy. Caleb Johnson to the Bears. The Bears are going to kill this draft. They're in line to do so as long as they're patient. As long as they're patient, they're going to kill this draft. Tyleik Williams, a big body. Jack Betch going to the Saints. He's okay. I think he'd be a good role player for his NFL team. TJ Sanders, nasty defensive lineman. Darius Alexander has been a riser. Alec Ayomander is a good route runner. Him and Cam Ward, that's solid. He turned it up on Travis Hunter. We all know that. When you talk about Alec Ayomander, you cannot mention that. Derek Harmon's been a riser. Good interior. Nick Emerwari, good value there at safety. You're building up that defensive backfield. You also got partial wide receiver too. Now I'm up with the Niners. And I got some positions to look at here. I got two of my favorite corners so far. Trey Amos, Benjamin Morrison there to look at. Defensive line, Omar Norman Lott. I can look at him. I got some potential. I'm going to go with one of my favorite players, and I'm going to go with Trey Amos. I think that's great value here. Middle of the second round, early middle, whatever you want to call it. Cowboys up, Landon Jackson. Get you good potential there at edge for the long term. Thomas from Florida State going to the Falcons. Xavier Watts to the Colts. Good value there. Now I'm up with the Cards. Thinking interior offensive line right now. See how we can patch that up. I got Ratledge. My next pick, 78. He's not going to be there. Lampkin later. 115, 152 range. Maybe Seth McLaughlin's there for a little later. Possibly. It's a hard draft to nail. Benjamin Morrison's there. He's one of my guys. Kevin Winston's one of my guys. Jaden Higgins is one of my guys. Looking for defensive line down the board a little bit more, because sometimes I don't look far enough down, and there's a guy I actually have valued higher than what they got. Shamar Turner is one of them. Alfred Collins is one of them. I can probably moneyball this ADP-wise. Honestly, Benjamin Morrison, come on down. He's one of my dudes. Dolphins are up. Donovan Jackson, tackle. Ohio State. Princely, edge. From Ole Miss. Seattle's now on the clock. My last pick, if I remember right, Donnie E. Interior offensive line, like I said, we can wait on that a little bit. We can look at other positions. We're in the second round, so we can go developmental assets if we will, if we must, if we need to. I don't know if Jaden Higgins would be a right fit here, but I do like him long term. Looks like he's been a riser in the process. Omar Norman Lots right there as a value. Maxwell Hairston's been falling down the board. I think that's a hell of a value. I'm going to take that. I'm just going to take what the draft gave me there. We'll make it work. Jaden Higgins going to the Broncos. That's a good fit for him. Back up with Seattle. And now let's look the board here. Let's try and get some values. I also drafted Donnie E, which there's been a fall off on edge. I told you there was going to be a fall off on edge. Demetrius Knight's there. Carson Swissinger's there. So we got a little linebacker run coming, because after that, there's a drop-off. Do I just make the pick there and just get it, or do I look somewhere else? That is something you got to think about in the war room, because I can go other positions later and patch things up. With this team, I don't want to look at running back. Kind of good for a little bit. Got some good talent. I'm at 52. Ratledge is there. For me at 52. Honestly, ADP's got him at 80. I think I'm going to pull the trigger. Get Ratledge. I think I'm going to just do that. I think more interior offensive linemen is going to go quicker than expected to. Revel's gone. Swinson's off the board. Chargers go JT. Carson Swissinger goes linebacker. There we go. Ravens go Jack Sawyer. Jared Ivey goes edge. Quinshon Judkins. Darren Porter to the Bills. I like him. One of my guys. Big time get there for the Chiefs, getting that tackle. Kyle Kennard, another huge get for the Eagles. They're in a spot where they can just hammer this draft, especially when things go crazy. Trevion Henderson to the Chiefs. You see that? Fits there. Big fit there. Jalen Milroe to the Browns. Getting their quarterback in the third round. Elijah Arroyo there. Going to the Raiders. Dylan Sampson to the Patriots. Shamar Turner. Josiah Stewart, edge. Saints. CJ West going to the Bears. Jets go Alfred Collins. Now I'm up with the 49ers in the third round. I got value here with Kevin Winston, and I'm just going to take it. Also got value with Demetrius Knight. Both these two players are coming off the board ASAP. I'm going Kevin Winston here. I like them both. I'm not even looking at what we got or anything. I'm just taking. See, Demetrius Knight coming off. That was a value. Those are steals. Steals for both teams there. Huge steals. Those are second-round players. Now I'm up with the Cardinals. Really thinking about what's available there. Also looking at what I've got so far. We're attacking defense, and Buka's right there. That's a huge talent there for the third round. Mason Taylor. We're good at tight end. Running back. We went running back last year. It's not really time for us to do some running back. Chris Paul's there. That's a good third-round guy. Jared Wilson's right there for center. We can move him around. Interior offensive line is something we need to think about for this team. That's something we can just hammer. with picks 115, 152. Jared Wilson there, Seth McLaughlin. I like Willie Lampkin a lot. I don't think we're going to be in position to just get him at value. Jared Wilson's right there. We got 2 centers on the board. We may have to just roll with that and just take that at value right now if we want to plug that, or we take the players here. Interior offensive line, I think it's going to go a little quicker. Jared Wilson from Georgia. Not too far off in ADP. Let's just make that pick. I can patch up other positions. I am sure other players are going to fall to me. Mbo, Purdue goes to the Texans. Mason Taylor to the Colts. Chris Paul to the Bengals. Solid linebacker for that range. Now we're back up. We picked Donnie E in the first round. Looking at wide receiver, we got some values here. We went cornerback. We got our guard. And then here, I'm just going to take the values. I got some good values here at wide receiver, though. Wide receiver, thinking about that for a position of need. Jalen Royals I like. I also like Trey Harris a lot. And the question is, are you Jalen Royals or a Trey Harris guy? Also, I'm 10 picks away. Do I just take Mbuka and just roll with the talent here? Or just take one of these wide receivers I like? I'm guessing. I gamble on the safety and hope one of those 2 wide receivers fall to me. I think that could be a hell of a value. Let's try that strategy. That's probably something they think about in the war rooms too. If you think about it when you're on the clock. Broughton, defensive lineman. Joshua Farmer going to the Broncos. They're having a good draft. Trey Harris going to the Chargers. One of my wide receivers gone. I like Jalen Noel. That's one of my dudes. He's always open, always creating separation. Now I'm back up with the Rams. Just drafted a tight end in the first round. We did not have a second round selection. We drafted Colston Loveland. Offensive line is something you want to look at here. Like I said, it's going to dole out pretty quick here. So now we got to get creative a little bit. Going down here, safety, Ransom's there. Trying to look at DB. I don't know. Dorian Strong's one of my dudes at 103. If I'm looking at cornerback, 103, Dorian Strong's one of my dudes. Jacob Parrish is one of my dudes. 101. Let's play money ball with that. Let's see what happens. Edge is there at a decent value. I like Ransom a lot. I like Wyatt Millam a lot. That's who I'm rolling with. I like Millam, and I like Williams there. But I'm going to give West Virginia some love there. Seattle's back on the clock. We're going to select Jalen Royals here. Twitched up wide receiver. Create separation. Him. Kyle Williams. I honestly want to look at the wide receivers just in case. Yeah. Isaiah Bond's got that court issue. That looks like everything is going to be all right for him, but he might slide in the draft. Honestly, don't look too far into it. Ricky White's one of my guys that I might try and get with one of these teams later on in the draft. We're going Jalen Royals here. Saints on the clock. RJ Harvey, that's a good selection for them. That's a good fit. Tavion Williams, good after the catch, can add to this team. Cameron Williams, 2 tackles for the Chiefs, though. 2 tackles, but 2 stud talents for the value. DJ Giddens to the Vikings. That's a good fit. Charles Grant, we got a little tackle run here. Niners are up. They are up. There's a lot of ambiguity at wide receiver right now. We got Kyle Williams. He's been a riser in the process. I think we went safety. We did that last time, so Ransom's kind of out of the picture right now. But Dorian Strong's right there. He's one of my guys, but we got Trey Amos. Edge, it's dropped off in tiers. It's dropped off. I can double up in positions later. Running back, something to look at. I think Kyle Williams, he's been growing on me. We're in the back end of the 3rd round. That seems like the right spot for him to go. And the Niners just adding more talent there. Back up with the Rams. Looking at what we're doing here. I forgot what I said I was going to do. Coming back to the 101, I went tackle. Okay, linebacker, cornerback. Dorian Strong's right there. I can't let him slide any further. There we go. That's what I remember what I was going to do. I wanted to take him. I've been talking about him with every pick. Tez Johnson to the Lions. Good route runner. Rucker, edge. North Carolina. Devin Neal to the Browns. A good pounder there. Solid back in the early 4th round. Ransom to Ohio State. Damian Martinez To the Patriots, solid back, Castro. We got some good value here in the early 4th. Definitely. UCLA edge falls. Isaiah Bond to the Jets. Getting more talent there for Justin Fields. Jacob Parrish. One of my guys. Now I'm back up. Now I'm back up on the clock. I got some tight ends looking at me. I like Harold Fannin. I think that's a good value there in the 4th round. Definitely for sure. Jane Blue can give you some depth, but I think we got some depth at running back, and we can go a little cheaper at running back with this team. Defensive line, we haven't tacked that heavy. That's one thing. But defensive line, like where they're at, we can go Caldwell. Look at that. We're just down there in the rankings. Like, I don't want to go too far down where it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't want to reach. Peebles is there. Peebles is there. And I'm also drafting for the Niners. Harold Fannin's there. That's a good solid backup. A good developmental guy. Your tight end's in the 30s age range. He's older. Long-term wise, racked up catches there, Bowling Green. A big-time producer. Outside of that, we're looking at backups at other positions. He has potential to be a starter long-term. Tight end, I also want to look at that. A lot of my favorite guys are zapped. I got some guys I like for late rounds. Taking Fannin here. For the long-term. Sanker coming off the board. Now I'm back up with the cards. Here. We went Jared Wilson. I want to look at interior offensive line again. I can go McLaughlin. I can go Lampkin. 152. Let's see if Lampkin's there at 152. We might go Kandra later. Ed Savion Jones, something to look at. Caldwell's there. Let's make that play here in the 4th round. Get some depth on the defensive line. Add a little talent. Peebles coming off the board. Had a little run there. Vaza coming off the board to the Colts. Robinson, edge to the Falcons. Sorrell, edge. Mello Dotson, cornerback from Kansas to the Bucks. There's our Mississippi guy, Ole Miss. Will Howard off the board. That could be a good get for the Steelers. At least good depth. Good developmental prospect here. We've been looking at Savion Jones for a bit. RJ Mickens is there. Have we attacked safety yet? No, we haven't. Not saying that's a need, but 4th round, you're not attacking needs. Sometimes you just take the talent that falls. That's a talent that's there. Billy Bowman's there. I like him. Urisek's there. We got some talent. Rams, too. Maybe you want to look at a backup quarterback. I don't know if this is the time to do so. There's going to be a run where you can do that later in the draft. If you really want to, like, you can get a Ewers here. Maybe, like, well, you're probably not going to be in the range for him with your next pick. Kind of got to do some trades. I am, honestly, when I think about looking at linebacker, which I haven't done. Let's look at linebacker, see who's available. Barrett, Jack Kaiser, 148. Kobe King, 174. We might have a linebacker there in the 190 range that I like, but it's going to be zapped up. Tiers are going to go down a little bit. Barrett Carter's there. Jack Kaiser. I'm going Kaiser. I'm taking that value. Right there. Ravens are up. Willie Lampkin, my dude, coming down. Paying up for him. Barrett Carter. Jaden Blue going to the Saints. They doubled up at running back, which is something they might do for the long term. Remember, they don't like Miller. Jalen Rivers. Tackle going to Miami. Zaya Alexander. I say Kendre Miller. Saints don't like Kendre Miller. Coaching staff had him in the doghouse a bunch of times. Savion Jones coming off the board here. We're up with Seattle. 4th round. We've done safety already. We're in the 4th round, so not going to look that way. We also went wide receiver, so we also went sexy already. Trevor Etienne's there. Not really one of my guys. Seth McLaughlin's there. Cameron Jackson, okay, fine. Logan Brown, looking for just somebody that's really one of my guys that's around this area before I start just attacking positions. Going down, we got backup quarterbacks. That's something you may want to address with this team. Something you may want. Kobe King's down there. Like I said, linebacker is something you may want to look at on some of this because there's runs. Ty Robinson. Just getting extra depth. Now we're in the depth part of the draft. Remember, R.J. Mickens is there. He's fallen. He's a big faller in this draft. We also went Kevin Winston. We went Winston. Winston's obviously got the edge over Mickens. Mickens is such a value. There's Tyler Batty at edge. There's Bowman. There's Jurasek. I believe just getting more value here on the interior offensive line and rolling with that. Vikings are up. Basil Tootin coming off the board. Riley Leonard to Notre Dame. Tyler Batty, edge, BYU. Riley Mills. Raiders, Rashard Smith. Solid catching balls out of the backfield. Solid. You also got a guy there like that with Dylan Labe, but I believe Rashard Smith is better. Pat Bryant. Niners are on the clock. We just got to do it now. Mickens just coming off the board. I'd taken that value all day long. I'm going to have another value at safety if that happens. Forfeited my pick. Tyler Barron. There goes the Dolphins. Dylan Gabriel coming off the board. Fast muzzle processor. He's accurate. Trevor Etienne's up. Ben Urasek's up. Back up. Cameron Jackson, come on down to the Cardinals. Luke Kandra getting off the board. Elijah Huzzy. Simeon Barrow. Billy Bowman. I can see him being a Steeler. Quincy Riley. Chargers go tight end. Packers, wide receiver Kobe Hudson. Now I'm back on the clock. Tesla's there. Jarquez Hunter's there. That's a good value. Maybe going backup quarterback. Maybe doing something like that. There's Quinn Ewers there. I think that's a good value for what we're looking at. Just getting a backup quarterback just in case. But however, you got to back up. You kind of paid up for that. Wide receiver. Tim Smith is right there. I'm going to roll with that. I think that's a good value in the 5th round. Getting him at 160. RJ Oben from Notre Dame going to the Eagles. Tesla going to the Jets. Arkansas. Jarquez Hunter going to Carolina. I think he's going to push that depth chart. When I say push that depth chart, I'm saying like that final spot. And they had some injuries last year. Mullings going to the Eagles. Here, Kobe King fell in this draft. I like King a lot. I would take him around earlier. I like him at that spot. I like him around earlier at a good value. Colby Connor's one of my guys. I like him at guard. I probably would have drafted him for Seattle. That being said, let's take a look at our interior offensive lineman here. See if one of my guys are there, and I will just draft them. And we're due. Because you want competition there. Tyler Cooper's there. Fairchild. There's solid 5th round. Let's go, Cooper. And get that value. I like that a lot. Cody Simon coming off the board. Cowboys. Gives Hall. Hayes. Whatever. Seattle's up. So let's look at linebacker again. Because Cody Simon surprised me. I funneled in. Stutzman's there. Higgins is there. Lindenberg's there. Backup quarterback, something I was thinking about for this team. Quinn Ewers. Kyle McCord. That's the two I'm looking at. He also got the Louisville guy. I'm going Ewers. For this team. I think that'd be an interesting fit. I don't think it fits well, but I think that'd be interesting. Stout. Also, we're in the 5th round. Denzel Burke's one of the guys. I think he's always a value in these mock drafts. I think he could go a shade higher than 6th round. Maybe middle of the 5th. Somewhere around there. Do not be surprised if he goes in the 4th. It's just talent level. Fedone. Hemingway. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. Edge. Monahai. Solid running back. Saints went 3 running backs. Some of these mocks, these simulators, will have a team just dialing in a position too much. It's not happening too much in this draft, though. It's not happening. Sometimes those 2 first running backs for Saints made sense. And it's not like we see teams double up or triple up at a certain position. It's just some of these mocks, it gets a little too crazy. I'm back on the clock. I got one of my guys looking at me. However, I am the Rams. I do want to look at backup quarterback. I might wait a bit on that. I pick again in 5 slots. I'm going Jordan Hancock. That's just one of my guys. That's just one of my players. 6th round, I'm going to do it. And I'm picking again in 5 spots. I'm going to go quarterback here. And I think the position group has dwindled down. This Okay. Looking at quarterback. I like Hennigan. I think Hennigan's going to be a good pickup later. But going with the Louisville quarterback for a backup there, I feel like that's something we need to address in this draft. Just get a solid backup to develop for long term. Hopefully we can catch fire, and if we can, maybe when there's a transition, we don't have to spend up on a quarterback. Back up here. Now another thing, we got these picks. These are our last two. So let's look at wide receiver, because the back end of the depth chart, and I'm going to get my boy here, Ricky White. I think he's too talented to be in the 6th round. I think that's a solid pick. And then I also like Malachi Moore. I don't care what I've drafted so far. I'm just taking the talent. He's better than 6th round. He's just better. So I'm just going to take him. That's my thought process. Seattle's up next for me. That's here in quite a bit of picks. Quite a bit of picks. So Jordan James going to Washington. Doubling up on running back. Taj Brooks going to the Broncos. Keely Arnold, safety, going to the Ravens. Ravens go Dean Clark. Solid pickup there. Dyke, Florida. Raiders. I think we've got some solid selections here. Ollie Gordon. Like, Quint Allen's one of my dudes. That's one of my dudes. That's one of my favorite running backs for day 3. Then the back end of day 3, not early day 3. Still going to be the big till I pick. I'm coming up here soon. Jay Higgins to the Falcons. That's one of my guys. I like Miles Frazier for the 7th round. I think that's a solid get. I think that's solid upside play. Also good depth. Now I'm back up. I'm not really looking at team needs anymore. I'm just really looking at what's available, what fell to me, what can I roll with. I'll even go with another quarterback, because I'm not really sold on late round quarterbacks that much, because we got Rourke there. We got some positional value there. I've also went wide receiver earlier, didn't I? With Jalen Royals. I got Jimmy Horn there. That can give me something. Raheem Sanders is there. Theo Weiss, I don't like him. I hate Theo Weiss. We're solid at running back on this team, though. Like, I don't want to do it. Lashley's there. Honestly, you can really go whatever you want. Interior offensive line. Oh, it drew out very good. It drew out very good. Like, we're hurting here. I'm going Jalen Travis, get an extra tackle. Just doing that. My next pick is Seattle. Right? No, my next pick right now is Arizona. It just had it stayed up there. Again, defensive draft so far. What can we get on offense? What can we... You know what? Backup quarterback. Something to look at here. And who am I going to go with? Hennigan. I like Hennigan a lot. I think he's solid at Memphis. Go check the numbers. Check the tape. Solid quarterback prospect. Solid quarterback prospect there. Now we're up with the Niners. Looking down here at value. And honestly, I'm going to go quarterback. I'm going to go Zay Frazier. I'm going to take Zay Frazier there. Lines are up. Final rounds. I got pick 234, which might be one of my final picks for this division. Colts are up. Curtis Rourke off. Bears, now I'm up. Honestly, just looking down here, I'm going to do it. It's a value. I'm going to just take, no, wait. Collins, Gadsden, Oronde Gadsden. He shouldn't go undrafted. That's a good, talented tight end right there that can help you long term, especially work his way up the depth chart long term as well. There you go. And the running backs are falling. And there probably will be a good running back that we like. LeJohntay Wester is a very good route runner. Will Shepard, too. Colorado wide receivers are very underrated. Very underrated. I think the NFL is going to tell us that. Lashley coming off for the Texans, Ravens. I got the Niners pick up soon. Brosmer coming down. Cypress. Woody Marks to the Cowboys. That's a huge get. That's a huge get for a 7th round selection. I also want to look running back, because there are guys that I like, and I like all these guys. I'm going to go Raheem Sanders. We're just going to live off those Arkansas days where he was a hot prospect. Got another selection coming up here for the Niners. And now let's take a look. Interior offensive line, there's some dudes. And you always want good position battles there. And I'm going to roll with Garrett Dellinger right there to wrap this up. Waiting for my next selection. Joshua Gray. We had a little guard run there. Browns go tackle. Chargers go edge. There we go. We're wrapping up this draft. There we are. Big picks coming off the board here. The start of the draft, I will definitely say this. Ward, Hunter, Sanders, Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, and then Jeanty even, then Will Campbell to the Jets. I think it started off pretty good. I think this simulator today, we did not have many crazy things happen. So maybe adjusting the settings was best like this. Less randomness. I think overall mock draft wise, I mean, we weren't trying to guess the draft but put ourselves in the team's shoes. I think all in all, this might have been the best 7-rounder that we've done so far. I think this has been the best bet, the best feel. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.